This little green one here seems to need a home. I don't know, Charlie Brown.
A Christmas special that's aired continuously for 60 years almost never made it to television. CBS executives called it a disaster. The composer died believing his music ruined it. The creator said it was his biggest embarrassment. They delivered it to the network with just 10 days to spare. Yet this $76,000 production became a cultural phenomenon. The jazz soundtrack sold 5 million copies, making it the second best-selling jazz album in history, tied with Miles Davis's Kind of Blue. And the special criticizing commercialism, literally sponsored by Coca-Cola with product placement in the animation itself. But here's what nobody talks about. Behind this holiday miracle lie two devastating tragedies that will break your heart. Stick around until the end, because Facts 2 and 1 reveal the dark truth about the voices that made Charlie Brown immortal. These are the 19 shocking facts about a Charlie Brown Christmas you never knew. Number 19, delivered with 10 days to spare. Let's start with the impossible deadline that nearly killed this special before it aired. CBS scheduled A Charlie Brown Christmas for December 9, 1965. They promoted it heavily, locked in sponsors, cleared primetime slots. Standard industry practice required finished products at least 6 weeks before broadcast for review, testing, and adjustments. Bill Melendez's team delivered their finished product on November 29th, 10 days before airtime. Not 10 weeks, 10 days. The final scene was completed at the absolute last possible moment. No test audiences, no focus groups, no time for fixes. The first time real viewers saw it was when it broadcast directly into 15 million American homes. Talk about a high-stakes gamble. Number 18, Snoopy's doghouse was blue. Here's a detail that messes with everyone's memory. In the Christmas special, Snoopy's doghouse is blue, not red, blue. Early color television couldn't handle red properly. It bled on screen, looked terrible against snow. Blue photographed cleanly. By 1966, technology improved and the doghouse went permanent red. Most people's collective memory has completely overwritten this. Your brain insists it's always been red. But go watch the original 1965 broadcast. It's absolutely blue. Number 17. CBS misspelled Schultz's name in the credits. After Charles Schultz poured his heart into this special, fought network executives on every creative decision, and created something genuinely meaningful, CBS thanked him by misspelling his name. The end credits listed him as Charles Schultz with a T, not Schultz, Schultz, like they couldn't be bothered to check the spelling of the creator whose comic strip they were adapting. This wasn't a small local broadcast. This was a major network primetime special watched by 15 million people. And they got his name wrong, adding insult to literally everything else that went wrong during production. Number 16. The dance scene had no choreographer. When Linus and Lucy kicks in and those kids start dancing, you're watching one of television's most iconic sequences. That joyful, spontaneous energy, completely improvised. Schultz didn't even want a dance scene. He thought it was unnecessary. Bill Melendez convinced him they needed movement to break up the pacing. But here's the thing, they had no choreographer. Zero. Animators just drew whatever they felt kids would naturally do. The twin girls bouncing in perfect unison, their characters named 3 and 4, Schultz's joke about suburban conformity. Their synchronized movement was easier to animate with repeated loops than creating unique dances for every character. That dance scene you remember as pure childhood joy? Pure necessity. Budget constraints and deadline panic accidentally created television magic. Number 15. Coca-Cola product placement in the animation. Here's the magnificent irony nobody discusses. A special criticizing Christmas commercialism was itself a vehicle for product placement. The original 1965 broadcast contained Coca-Cola product placement embedded directly into the animation. Most blatant example, Linus slamming into a giant Coca-Cola billboard during the ice skating sequence. Not a subtle background detail, a major crash into corporate branding. The special ended with text fading to, "Merry Christmas from the people who bottle Coca-Cola." When Coca-Cola's sponsorship eventually ended, those shots disappeared. Later broadcasts removed the billboard completely. But make no mistake, the anti-commercialization special was literally paid for by one of the world's biggest commercial brands. Lucy tells Charlie Brown that Christmas is a big commercial racket. She wasn't wrong. She was just standing inside one. Number 14. Kids paid $5 per session. Zero royalties. Most 1965 cartoons used adult voice actors doing squeaky kid voices. Schultz demanded real children, which made everything exponentially harder. Peter Robbins as Charlie Brown, Christopher Shea as Linus, 6-year-old Kathy Steinberg as Sally. None had serious acting experience. Payment structure, $5 per session. No royalties, no residuals, not even screen credits for most of them. Peter Robbins' trademark scream became so iconic they kept using it in Peanuts specials for decades after he stopped voicing Charlie Brown. He never saw another cent for that scream. $5 per recording session, then nothing. The kids who created television's most profitable holiday voices were paid less than modern babysitters, and their story gets much darker. But we'll get to that. Number 13. Charlie Brown's round head broke the animators. Schultz's character designs look perfect in newspaper comic panels. On screen, they were an absolute nightmare. Animator Bill Littlejohn explained the core problem. Charlie Brown's head is a different shape at every angle. That tuft of hair changes completely from front to profile view. The round shape made rotation nearly impossible to depict convincingly. Worse, his arms were too short to scratch his own head. Lucy had identical issues. The animators developed desperate workarounds. Start a turn, then zap to the last position. Show the beginning. Cut away. Show the end result. Skip the impossible middle. Snoopy, meanwhile, was an animator's dream. Flexible design could squash and stretch. That's why he gets all the action sequences. When racing deadlines with impossible budgets, you animate what's easiest. Watch today and you'll spot the shortcuts everywhere. Characters popping in and out of frame, that tree suddenly growing branches between scenes. Schultz said that tree error haunted him forever. Number 12. The aluminum Christmas tree decline. Early 1960s, aluminum Christmas trees were everywhere. Shiny silver branches, rotating color wheels, space-age sophistication. Manufactured by Aluminum Specialty Company in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, retailing for $25, about $265 today. Sales peaked in 1965, the exact year the special aired. Then Charlie Brown walked into that lot filled with aluminum trees and chose the smallest, saddest real tree instead. Aluminum tree sales collapsed. By 1967, just 2 years after the special, they stopped regular production. By early 1970s, the industry disappeared. Here's where it gets debated. Did the special kill the industry or just coincide with a fading fad? Historians argue both sides. The timing is suspicious. Peak sales in 1965, collapsed by 1967. But aluminum trees also had natural market saturation issues. Everyone who wanted one already owned one. What's certain, Charlie Brown's little wooden tree became the cultural winner. Whether it caused the decline or simply reflected changing tastes, the special captured and possibly accelerated America's shift away from artificial Christmas. Number 11. It created the annual holiday TV tradition. Before A Charlie Brown Christmas, animated programs were disposable. Networks aired them once, maybe twice, then moved on. CBS discovered their disaster pulled massive ratings in December 1965. They nervously scheduled a repeat for December 1966. It performed just as well, second in ratings again, beaten only by Bonanza. That's when networks realized something unprecedented. Audiences actively wanted to watch the same thing every year. The special didn't just survive, it proved the annual holiday special model could work. Every Christmas special since, from Frosty to Rudolph to modern Netflix programming, follows the template Charlie Brown established. It didn't invent the holiday special, but it proved they could become profitable, repeatable traditions. Number 10. The impossible budget and deadline. When Coca-Cola called in April 1965 wanting a Christmas special for December, Mendelsohn and Schultz had one massive problem. They'd never written for television, ever. They typed up a one-page treatment over a weekend, triple-spaced to look longer, and sent it Monday morning. Tuesday, Coca-Cola said yes. 6 months to deliver everything from scratch. Bill Melendez needed to budget the project but had zero television production experience. He called colleague Bill Hanna of Hanna-Barbera asking for advice on costs and timelines. Hanna refused. The animation business fiercely guarded trade secrets. Competitors didn't help competitors. So Melendez just picked a number that sounded professional, $76,000. He had no idea if it was reasonable. It wasn't. That budget was wildly insufficient. They were attempting a $1 million production with lunch money, which explains literally everything that happened next. Number 9. Bill Hanna's refusal created the chaos. Let's pause on that Bill Hanna moment because it's crucial. Bill Hanna, co-creator of the Flintstones, Scooby-Doo, Tom and Jerry, knew exactly what television animation cost. He could have helped. Instead, he deliberately withheld information from a struggling colleague because the industry operated on secrecy and competition. That refusal forced Melendez to guess blindly. The $76,000 budget, the impossible 6-month deadline, the production shortcuts, the animation errors, all of it traces back to Hanna saying, "Figure it out yourself." Irony. Hanna-Barbera's holiday specials are mostly forgotten. Charlie Brown became immortal. Sometimes the people who refuse to help accidentally create something better than they ever could have imagined. Number 8. Willie Mays created Charlie Brown's TV career. Here's the connection nobody sees coming. Willie Mays, baseball's greatest player, made Charlie Brown's television career possible. Producer Lee Mendelsohn had just finished a documentary about Willie Mays when inspiration struck. Why not make one about baseball's worst player? He called Charles Schultz about a Charlie Brown documentary. Schultz, who'd rejected countless animation offers since starting Peanuts in 1950, agreed because he respected Mendelssohn's Willie Mays' work. They made the documentary with Bill Melendez handling animation. Networks passed, nobody wanted it. The project died completely. Then April 1965 happened. Peanuts hit the cover of Time magazine. Suddenly, everyone wanted Charlie Brown. That failed documentary became television's most expensive calling card, proof of concept that convinced Coca-Cola to fund the Christmas special. Without Willie Mays, there's no documentary. Without the documentary, there's no Charlie Brown Christmas. Baseball's greatest success accidentally created animation's greatest failure turned triumph. Number 7. They cast kids who couldn't even read. Remember those authentic kid voices everyone loves? Here's how chaotic that actually was. Schultz insisted on real children despite it making everything harder. They recruited from local schools. 9-year-old Peter Robbins, Christopher Shea, 6-year-old Kathy Steinberg. None had serious acting experience. Several couldn't read yet. For the younger kids, Bill Melendez developed a completely different technique. Feed them half a sentence, have them repeat it, then splice the fragments together in editing. That choppy, halting rhythm everyone remembers as authentic childhood? Pure necessity. Recording sessions ran past bedtimes until exhausted parents pulled their kids out. The team constantly recruited replacements as children quit or aged out. One session would have completely different kids than the previous session. That natural, unrehearsed quality that makes the special feel genuine? It's actual chaos, barely held together with tape and determination. Number 6. No laugh track. Career suicide. In 1965, laugh tracks weren't optional for comedy. They were mandatory. Every single comedy used artificial studio audiences telling viewers when to laugh. When CBS suggested adding one to Charlie Brown, Schultz literally walked out of the room. His response, no laugh track, no exceptions, no discussion, non-negotiable. Executives thought this was suicide. How would families know what's funny without audio cues? How would pacing work without laughter filling dead air? Schultz understood something they didn't. Peanuts comics never told readers when to laugh. Adding fake laughter would cheapen everything, make it feel manufactured. Those quiet moments, Charlie Brown's sigh when nobody sends him cards, the uncomfortable silence when kids mock his tree, Linus's gentle pause before scripture, they all carry emotional weight because there's no canned laughter-filling space. CBS thought it felt empty and dead. They were spectacularly wrong. Number 5. Mendelssohn's Paper Bag Lyrics Fund Family Christmas. Vince Guaraldi composed Christmas Time Is Here as an instrumental. Producer Lee Mendelssohn thought it needed lyrics but had zero budget for a professional songwriter. So Mendelssohn scribbled words himself, reportedly on a paper bag. Christmas time is here, happiness and cheer. Simple, almost childlike. Those hastily written lyrics on throwaway material became one of the most profitable holiday songs ever created. Mendelssohn retained publishing rights. Every radio play, stream, cover version, royalties keep flowing. His son Jason revealed in 2019 that the song generates enough annual revenue to pay for all the extended Mendelssohn family's Christmas shopping every year. Decades later, those paper bag lyrics still fund family holidays. Meanwhile, the church choir kids who sang it? $5 per session. Zero royalties. Ever. Lee Mendelssohn died Christmas Day 2019 at age 86. The family still searches for that original paper bag, probably thrown away decades ago, worth millions in royalties. Number 4. The Bible reading fight in Linus's blanket. Network executives, producers, and advisors all said the same thing: religion has no place in primetime cartoons. Charles Schultz's response? The scene stays or he walks. Non-negotiable. In 1965, television was aggressively secular. Mixing faith and entertainment was considered ratings poison. But Schultz insisted Linus recite Luke 2:8-14, angels announcing Christ's birth, because the entire point was confronting commercialization and returning to Christmas's spiritual core. Remove that scene, gut the entire story. CBS fought him. Coca-Cola executives worried. Everyone predicted viewer backlash. Schultz refused to budge. But here's the detail that makes it transcendent. Linus drops his security blanket. Throughout Peanuts, Linus never appears without that blanket. It's his defining characteristic, his constant companion. During the speech, he grips it tightly until he reaches the words "fear not." Then he lets it fall. For the only time in the special, Linus voluntarily releases his security object. The metaphor is simple yet profound. Faith replaces fear. The message gives him security deeper than anything he can physically hold. That moment, that blanket drop transformed the special from good to unforgettable. It's the emotional and spiritual heart of the entire narrative. CBS remained nervous even after agreeing to keep it. They thought the Bible reading would alienate audiences. Instead, it became what separated this special from every other Christmas program ever made. Number 3. CBS hated it, then 15 million proved them wrong. The first CBS screening was an absolute bloodbath. Executives thought everything was wrong. Too slow, animation too crude, kids' voices too choppy and amateurish, jazz too sophisticated for children. Bible reading too serious and controversial. No laugh track made it feel lifeless and dead. Lee Mendelsohn recalled, if it hadn't already been scheduled, promoted, and locked into the broadcast calendar, there's no way they would have aired it. Schultz called it a disaster because the drawing was so poor. Bill Melendez sighed, my golly, we've killed it. Even Coca-Cola executives had serious doubts. CBS had already spent money promoting it extensively. They'd committed sponsors, cleared primetime, made public announcements. They had no choice but to air something they actively hated. Adding insult, CBS misspelled Schultz's name in the credits. One executive later told Mendelsohn that his aunt in New Jersey didn't like it. Nobody expected success. Best case scenario, minimal humiliation, collect the check, move on quietly. December 9, 1965, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The special preempted the Munsters. Half the country tuned in. An estimated 15.5 million households, 45% of all televisions turned on that night, watched Charlie Brown's Search for Christmas Meaning. Second in the ratings that week, beaten only by Bonanza, television's biggest show at the time. The network's disaster became a phenomenon overnight. Switchboards lit up with calls. Letters poured in. Time magazine critic Richard Bergheim praised its sincerity as one children's special this season that bears repeating. Understatement of the decade. It would repeat every year for 6 decades. CBS immediately ordered 4 more Peanut specials. The 1966 Emmy went to Charlie Brown for Outstanding Children's Program. Schultz accepted with characteristic humility, Charlie Brown is not used to winning, so we thank you. What executives wanted to cancel became one of the most successful programs in television history. The thing they hated became the thing that defined their network's holiday programming for generations. Number 2. The death of Vince Guaraldi, the man who gave Charlie Brown his soul. Remember how CBS executives hated Guaraldi's jazz during production? Too sophisticated, too mellow, too adult for kids. They wanted something bouncy and commercial. The criticism devastated Guaraldi. He worried his music had ruined everything. On February 6, 1976, Guaraldi was performing at Butterfield's nightclub in Menlo Park, California. He'd been complaining of severe stomach pain for weeks, dismissed by doctors as indigestion or ulcers. That afternoon, he'd finished recording the soundtrack for It's Arbor Day, Charlie Brown. That evening, he played his first set, his last song, a cover of the Beatles' Eleanor Rigby. Between sets, Guaraldi returned to his room at the adjacent Red Cottage Inn to rest. Drummer Jim Zimmerman was with him. Zimmerman recalled, he was walking across the room and just collapsed. That was it. Vince Guaraldi suffered a fatal heart attack at age 47. He died believing his Christmas music was a creative compromise that disappointed everyone. He never knew his soundtrack would sell 5 million copies, never learned it would earn quintuple platinum certification, never discovered he'd be covered by Alicia Keys, Foo Fighters, Dave Brubeck, Wynton Marsalis. He never knew he'd introduced more children to jazz than virtually any other artist in American history. Lee Mendelsohn later said Guaraldi could have pursued broader fame but loved San Francisco too much. He stayed local, playing neighborhood clubs, never grasping his cultural impact. Today, his music is Christmas itself for millions. He gave the holiday a jazz heartbeat and never lived to see it become immortal. But as tragic as Vince's story is, there's one more death that's even more heartbreaking. The voice of Charlie Brown himself. Number 1. The death of Peter Robbins. Peter Robbins voiced Charlie Brown from ages 9 to 13. Born Louis Nanasi to Hungarian immigrants in Los Angeles, he made that trademark scream so perfect they kept using it decades after he stopped voicing the character. He retired from acting at 16, pursued real estate, graduated UC San Diego, seemed headed for a normal, successful life. But adulthood brought severe struggles: bipolar disorder, paranoid schizophrenia, addiction. In 2013, he was arrested for making criminal threats against his ex-girlfriend and stalking her plastic surgeon. He served time in prison. In 2015, more arrests for probation violations, more prison time. He touched up his Charlie Brown tattoo, calling it a symbol of refurbishing my life. He spoke publicly about mental health struggles, hoping to help others. He started working on an autobiography, Confessions of a Blockhead. December 2021, Peter asked friends for prayers. Shortly after Christmas, he checked himself into a mental health facility in California. Staff encouraged him to stay for extended treatment. Peter refused. He discharged himself on January 18, 2022. Peter Robbins died by suicide that same day. He was 65 years old. The boy who gave voice to America's most beloved loser, who made an entire generation believe Charlie Brown was real, never finished his book, never found peace. The voice that brought joy to millions ended in tragedy nobody saw coming. 2 men. One gave Charlie Brown his voice, one gave him his soul. Both died too young. Both never fully understood the immortal impact they'd created. This is the dark truth behind the holiday miracle. A Charlie Brown Christmas proved children's programming could be different. It showed that animation could be sincere instead of pandering, sophisticated instead of dumbed down, melancholy instead of relentlessly cheerful, and audiences would embrace it. Guaraldi's jazz opened ears. Schultz's faith opened hearts. The special established a template that countless holiday programs would follow. Today's irony: Apple TV Plus puts a special criticizing commercialization behind a paywall. The communal broadcast tradition that thrived for 56 years now requires subscriptions. That shared cultural experience, millions watching simultaneously every December, is nearly extinct. Yet the special endures because the story still resonates. A kid alienated by commercialization, searching for authentic meaning, finding it in the simplest place. That tension hasn't resolved, it's intensified. Schultz set out to create something honest about Christmas. He succeeded, crafting a half-hour that's spoken to hearts for 6 decades. Every December, when those piano chords play and children's voices sing "Christmas time is here," millions feel something shift. We recognize ourselves in Charlie Brown's loneliness, Linus's wisdom, that little tree finding its place. Good grief, they really did it. So have you watched A Charlie Brown Christmas yet? Tell us in the comments which of these facts shocked you most, and whether you knew about Peter Robbins and Vince Guaraldi's tragic endings. If you haven't seen the special, go watch it when you can and come back to tell us what you think. And if this deep dive moved you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories about the films and shows that changed everything. Thanks for watching.